right, here we go. Our next exercise in Figma is going to be to create a sort of image gallery. You're looking at one that's already done here. I'm going to preview it in a second, but look at in the middle in that gray page. That's kind of like the web page, right? I've labeled it main page, and there are 4 small versions of the pictures. We're calling those thumbnails, in case you hadn't heard that term before. The small versions are the thumbnails. And then around the outside of the page, you see the larger versions of the pictures, and those we are calling hero images. That's a fairly common term in web design and magazines and things like that. The bigger image is the hero image, the big image. Also, sometimes it's called a modal image, but that's all terminology. Anyway, let's preview it here for a second and just see how this works. So when it loads up, I have set this up so that if you put the mouse, if you hover the mouse over the thumbnail, you see the bigger version of the picture. These are all mountains from different places like India and France and Nepal. And so if you hover the mouse over the thumbnail, then you get the bigger version. And you can just kind of slide your mouse across there because it knows when it's hovering over the smaller version. So they switch as you move the mouse. All right. Now you can also make this so that you have to click on the smaller version for that larger version to pop out. You can set the trigger to be whatever you feel like you want it to be. All right, so let's take a look at how to do this. There will be a handout available that has all of the documentation for you. This is going to be the magic number on this assignment is 4. I'm going to want 4 thumbnails with 4 hero images, larger images. And I am providing some on Google Classroom that you can use if you want to. They're the mountain pictures that you just saw, or you could use your own pictures if you would rather. All the instructions are here on the handout. So let's go back and go to work. Let's just hop back over here and I'll get to a different tab. So we're going to start this way. We will start with a new design file and I'm going to name it. We'll just call it gallery, or you could call it image gallery or whatever. And I'm going to get the frame tool and I'm going to do a desktop size frame. And I think on this time I'm going to go ahead and fill that frame with a gray. Kind of like that, just because I feel like it. All right, don't have to do that if you don't want to. All right, now the next thing, and I'm going to control and just scroll back a little bit, make that a little bit smaller. All right, the next thing would be, I'm going to draw 4 boxes. I'm going to use the rectangle tool and draw 4 boxes. Really, I'm only going to draw 1, though, and I'm not going to make these too big. So I'll just draw a box. About that big is fine, looks good to me. All right, and so I'm just going to, now that I have that box on there, I think I'm going to change my fill color on my page to a darker gray so that we can see that box a little bit better. All right, that should help some. There we go. So I drew that box, right, using the rectangle tool. Now I would recommend that what you do here is Alt drag so that you get boxes that are the same size. So I'm going to just Alt drag, and I want 4 copies of those. Spread them out a little bit here. And now I'm going to select those 4, and I'm going to use my align buttons. I want to align them, and I also want to give them their horizontal spacing so that they're evenly spaced. All right, cool. Got that done. So we start like that. Right? It's just 4 boxes that are all, I like them nice and lined up. And you should do that too. Get used to it. All right, now we're going to fill those with some images. And I got a quick trick for you here that you may have discovered it. I haven't shown it before, but I'm going to use the place image feature. So I'm going up to the little menu beside the rectangle, and I'm going to go to place image. And I've got to do a little bit of browsing around here. I've got to get to my folder where my pictures are. If you're going to use my get this arranged. If you're going to use my mountain pictures, you'll need to download those, right? So I'm going to get in here to my computer science and XD and Figma. I'm getting there, and this is image gallery, and then I've got these mountain images. Okay, so there are 4 of them, right? And so there they are. I've got them all. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select all of them like that. All right, so here comes a trick. Watch this. I'm going to select all of them, and I'm going to click open, and the cursor is going to load with 4 different pictures. And all I have to do is go along to these 4 boxes and just go click, 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 click. And it will drop the 4 pictures into the 4 boxes in sequence. So I loaded my cursor with all 4. I go boink, 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 and boink. And there we go. Easy as that. All right, so a little time saver, but however you want to do it is fine. All right, I'm going to, just for kicks and giggles, I'm going to select all of those and give them a bit of a stroke. I just like the way that looks. I'm going to put it on the outside. Might make that stroke just a slightly larger. And you know what? I might also, just for kicks and giggles, just add a bit of a drop shadow to this as well. All right, a little more X offset, bring up the opacity just a little bit on that shadow. All right, so that's the look I'm going for on my thumbnails. All right, I've got my smaller versions called thumbnails. Okay, cool. All right, now, next up, we're going to get the bigger images and kind of get them laying out here around the page. We want them to kind of be off the page. So I'm gonna place these one at a time, I think. So I'll start with this, and I'm gonna go. I'll get this one, and now what I want to do here is make it, just about the size. I want it certainly to be bigger than. I want it to be bigger than the thumbnail for sure. It's gonna. You saw in the preview. I'm gonna have it hover over the middle. All right, and you can do some things like if you would like to add a stroke to that. You could, right? That's kind of up to you. Maybe I'll do about a 10-point stroke on the inside of that. Nice. Okay, that looks good. I kind of like it. All right, so let's get these others laying in here real quick. I'll get my next one here. Open that and kind of make it, fairly good size. And I am going to add a 10-point black stroke to that. There are ways I could set up a stroke style and have it be applicable that way. All right, let's keep moving here. Place image, and we're going to get this one. And again, I'm going to add a stroke, and I want that 10-point black stroke on the outside. Did I do outside or inside on the first one? I think I did inside. So I'm going to switch it real quick on these others and just stay consistent. All right, and one more to go. Stretch this out over here. That is, I want to get it outside of the, I didn't get that one started in the right place. Let's try France again here. All right, that's going to be better. And we'll add a stroke. I want that 10-point black stroke on the inside. That's going to work. Okay. Now, you can, we just kind of want these laying around, just off the edge, around the outside of this thing. Okay. All right. Now, we're going to wind up making a connection between the thumbnail and the hero image. So anytime you're going to make a connection, you have to frame you have to frame up the target that you're going to. So I'm going to have to, on each one of these pictures, I'm going to have to do that right-click frame selection. And I could, again, I'm hurrying in this demo. I should really come over here on the left-hand side on the layer panel and rename all of these objects so I know what's what. I'm trying to hurry. All right, so I'm going to right-click and frame selection. I'm going to right-click and frame selection, and I'm going to right-click and frame selection. Cool. So all of these big pictures around the outside, I have framed them. Well, we're almost done, folks. There's not much more to it, really. Now what we're going to do is hop over to Prototype, and I'm going to select this rectangle, or this little square here that has the first picture, and I'm going to take the pick whip and make its connection over to the bigger image. Now this is where you have to make a decision. You could make it so that you have to click on the thumbnail, and if that's the case on your interaction details right here, you would want it to be on click. The other option would be to make it so that if the mouse is hovering over the thumbnail, you could say while hovering. So what do you want? On click or hover? It's really your call. It depends on your designer preference. What do you like better? All right, so I'm going to do while hovering on mine. We don't want to navigate to it. This is another time when we're going to open an overlay. Now, I think that I'm probably just going to kind of leave this centered because it will be centered. It should, and I could be wrong about this. We'll find out. But I think it should be centered on the page. So I'm going to say centered. I believe that's what I want. All right. And I'm going to do, I'm going to try dissolve for the animation. You could play around with some of these options for easing and all that, but I think I'm trying to keep it moving here in my demo, so I'll just go ahead. All right, so let's proceed on, right? We're going to do that for all 4 of these, so I'm going to select the next mountain picture and connect it to its hero image here, the big image. And that's, I'm doing while hovering. Remember, you could do on click. We're going to open overlay. Centered is what I believe I want here, and I think I'll keep that dissolve and ease out. That sounds good to me. Let's move on to the next. Connect. I'm going to do while hovering, open overlay, centered, and I'll keep my dissolve. Last one, make the connection, while hovering, open overlay, centered, dissolve. Woo! I'm so nervous. I'm not really nervous. I'm just kidding. I'm going to preview it, and let's see how we did. All right, so here I see my thumbnails, and if I hover over, yep, sure enough, when I hover over that, my hero image dissolves in right in the middle. And when I move off of it, that image goes away. See, that looks pretty good. Cool. When I hover over the next one, the hero image pops on, right? And it knows, the computer knows, or the website knows, or whatever, you know, whoever it is that needs to know. They know when I move my mouse off and to the next one, even though that hero image is kind of popping up there, right? The computer knows. It's reading the movement of the mouse, and it knows when to switch. All right, so I've got this set up so that when I hover my mouse, I get a bigger version of the thumbnail picture, and that's exactly what we're after today. It's kind of like a photo gallery, where you've got thumbnails and you've got larger versions, and I can hover over it. Now, if you set your interaction options to be click, well, then you'd have to click on that and it would pop up then. And but I didn't do that. I set mine for hovering, and so this is what we're after right here. I've got 4 thumbnails, and when I hover my mouse over, I get the bigger version of the picture. Yay. All right, success. That's what success looks like today, anyway. All right, so let's go. It's your turn to try it. Let's roll.